Hello, my name is David Rocha. My wife is Sharon Rocha, and I wanted to talk about some of the things of what got us to this point in this journey in cycling. As a soul rider, we have a soul rider group. Maybe that's why you're watching this video. But here we're doing I'm doing a 10-mile ride here. This is one of the rides that I do from my house as a training, and so right here I'm just starting off really slow, warming up my leg. My knee was hurting the night before, so I don't want to hurt myself more, so I would just kind of maybe the first mile or two taking it very easy, and that way I don't injure myself. But as you see, I go through this residential little trail, and I make the route actually on Strava, the one you see up above on the screen. I make the route so I know which way I'm going, and I know the distance. I have created various routes from my house. This one is 10 miles. I have a 6 mile. I have a 15 or 16 mile, a 20 mile, and a 26 mile. And I choose these different routes so I know how far I'm planning on going, how far I'm going. I also create them to, let's say if my wife is home, she knows which route I'm doing. If for some reason something happens, she knows where she should find me at, so I think that's a good reason why. So right here it's a busy street, so I turn right. I always make sure I have my rear red LED flashing light on my seat. You just always want to be visible, and sometimes people don't see someone on a bike, but with the flashing light it's a better chance. It is a one-way, so most traffic that's passing by me would just go ahead and change to the other lane. But as you can see, I'm warming up here, so I'm picking up a little bit of speed. My knee is feeling good, so plus I want to get past this street. This is probably, for me, the most dangerous street because it's the busiest. So I just want to get past and through it. Yeah, you can see I'm picking up speed. I'm going with 14 miles an hour here, which is it's steady. Not racing, but it's a steady pace. Anyways, a little bit about myself. Hold on, there's a siren going by. I'll just wait a little bit, let that pass a little bit. In case you're wondering where the siren is, I'm recording this after the fact as I'm watching the video, just adding commentary to it. But anyways, 4.5 years ago, I was 378 pounds, almost close to 400 pounds, and I knew I had to do something. Something had to change, something had to budge. So I started going to the gym. At the time, I lived 3.5 miles away from the gym, so I would drive to the gym, do 30 minutes cardio and 30 minutes weight training, and after a while, honestly, the cardio machines got very, very boring. I found myself cheating myself. Instead of doing 30 minutes cardio, I would do 20 minutes and then 15 minutes. And then I say, I'll just do a quick 10 minutes on the treadmill or on the stationary bike. And I know myself, and we're creatures of habit. And we don't, when we are not interested in something, we find reasons why not to do. Right here, actually, this is another busy little intersection. So I always got to make sure, because it's actually these cars are going on a freeway ramp, so they're coming up quick. So look, as soon as I see the car, boom, I make my way right across. And from this point on, it's pretty safe. I'm just going through this little alley in this parking lot on my route that I created. So anyways, I noticed that I was cheating myself, so I thought, what if I get a bike? I used to love riding a bike when I was a kid. I mean, I used to ride all the time. I used to actually be a freestyler. I would do tricks on my bike to the point where I got sponsored by a local bike shop, and I'd be in the parades or different city events. There was a group of us, and we would do tricks and bike tricks and create a circle, and people would watch us and throw money at us, and we'd go and buy Mountain Dew and candy or chips or whatever. So I thought maybe I'll do a bike. So I went to Walmart and bought a $99 mountain bike, the one with the spring in the middle. I'm thinking, okay, I don't know nothing about bikes, but that looks very comfortable because it has the forks have shocks and the big giant spring in the middle. So I said, I'll do that. Well, I started riding that bike my first day. I did 1 mile, and I literally thought I was going to pass out. My heart was beating. I was sweating profusely. I said, wow, I am really, really out of shape. I think that's when the reality hit me of how far I had let myself go. This is actually a nice little park right here, Victory Park in Stockton. It's probably the most family-friendly park that I know of in Stockton, other than Mickey Grove Park, which is on the outskirts of town. So, yeah, you can see here, I'm warmed up now, so I'm going at a nice steady pace here. Just basically going around the park and then through the residential area. So anyways, back to my story. I realized I need to do something, and I rode the next 2 days, each time doing 1 mile. Each time, it took me 20 minutes to do 1 mile and come back. And I would ride 1 mile away, rest for like 15 minutes just to get my heart slowing down. And then I would ride back, and I was done. I was done for the day just with that. And I literally put the bike away for 2 months after that, because an allergy season came in, springtime, and I was living out in the country, out in the ranch, and there was no way I could continue riding. So I put the bike away. Then summer came, and by this time I was no longer doing cardio at the gym. I was still going to the gym every day, but I would go straight to the weights, and I was doing no cardio. And which is fine, because actually when you're heavy, lifting weight is probably the best thing you could do, because the more you strain your muscles, the more fat you're going to burn, because your body is trying to recuperate and fix those muscles. But big muscles doesn't help when you're overweight and your heart is weak and your lungs are weak. You need that cardio. So as you can see here, look at that, I'm going 16 miles an hour. I have a nice steady pace now. 17 miles an hour there. So yeah, I'm going good right here. I was feeling great. My knees were warmed up, my legs were warmed up, and it was nice, and a nice smooth ride. So back to what I was saying. Hold on. Okay. So as I was saying, I had to stop my recorder really quick. So I started riding my bike again, and I said, this time I'm gonna do it. So I rode 1 mile, and I kept doing 1 mile, maybe over a course of a week, and that 1 mile got a little easier and a little easier and a little easier. And then I went to 2 miles, and then 3 miles, and when I built up to 3 miles, I challenged myself to ride to the gym, which was 3.5 miles away. This was a huge deal for me at that weight. It's funny because 3.5 miles is nothing. Like I'll use a couple miles just to warm up. I think actually right here I'm at the 2 mile mark, if you can see on the left of the screen. So yeah, I went ahead and real quick, real story right here. There's this guy that lives in one of these houses that has a pit bull. He always has that pit bull chained in his front yard, and he always barks at me. And it's crazy because I heard the guy yelling, and all of a sudden I see the dog running. He had gotten loose. So maybe the next block here, somewhere around here, I could hear the yelling. I could hear barking. I'm not sure exactly where. You'll see, but I thought I was going to have to pedal for my life, and I'm not sure where it's at here. I'm looking around, as you can see. I'm like, where's this dog at? And he always wants to. He barks at me like crazy. So I'm like, for sure, if this dog is loose, I'm gonna have to go as fast as I possibly can. So I was kind of, there he goes on the left. Boom, he just ignored me. There's the owner to the right. Where is he? Right behind us. There he is. So yeah, the dog had paid me no mind. So anyways, what I was saying is, I went and rode my bike to the gym, and I thought my heart was gonna burst out of my chest. 3.5 miles, made it to the gym, had a workout, rode back, and that was my first time I did 7 miles in one day. And I began to go to the gym on my bike like that. Now, remember, originally I had bought my bike, a Walmart bike, just so I can do the cardio. And actually, it was a little better than actually sitting on a cardio machine. And but it was really, really hard. And it wasn't until I met John Silva, who is a bike specialist in Tracy. He has his own shop. And I became friends with him, and I needed some work on my bike, and he invited me to come. It was his appointment only, and I went down there, and he was very graceful, and basically in telling me that I need to have a real bike, not a Walmart bike. And he was, I love the way he was very graceful with me, but he explained that with my weight, and that spring in the middle of the bike, every time I pedal, there's supposed to be a power transfer, that when you pedal, you want that power to transfer from your pedal to your crank, to your chain, to your drive wheel, to your wheels. So by having a spring, it was actually taking power away. In other words, it was absorbing the power I was using to pedal. He says, you don't need a mountain bike. You need something without shocks, something without a spring. That way, everything that you're pedaling gets put into the tires that are turning, on the street. And he explained to me about bikes. I said, I can't afford a better bike than this. And he said, yeah, you can. Go to Craigslist. There's a lot of people that go and buy $500 bikes and with the intentions of riding them, and they never do, and they gather dust in their garage, and finally a couple years down the road they realize they're not going to use it, and they sell it. So sure enough, over the next few days I went on Craigslist. Here's another busy street, right here. Look at this little place, right? I found this place yesterday. There it is, right there. See that spot? Oh man, they have really good food there. It's like the old-fashioned hamburger joint. So anyways, back to my story. He explained to me, and anyways, I found on Craigslist a giant Sedona DX. It's a hybrid bike for $120. It retailed brand new at $500. It was a few years old, but it was very well kept, and I bought that bike, and I rode that bike for the next 4 years, and it was great. I enjoyed it, and now those 4 years I rode on and off. It's a whole other story, but later on I ended up having to need surgery. I had diverticulitis. About a foot of my large intestine had collapsed. I could have died. They had to do an emergency surgery in San Francisco, and that put me out of commission for a whole year from riding my bike as I recuperated. But anyways, it was during this time of cycling that I met Sharon. She was living in Southern California, and we met through a mutual friend on Facebook, and we began talking. At the time, I was living with my parents, or at my parents' ranch on the side of their house with my son, and I began talking to her, and within a few months, she moved up to Stockton. I lived in Tracy, and we began courting, and began a relationship and talking, and I got her into cycling. She had a mountain bike, a Diamondback mountain bike she had bought years ago, had never hardly ever ridden it. She was excited the fact that I cycled, because she also wanted to have a weight loss journey herself, so she began cycling with me, and we began to cycle, and the whole group, I pastor a church, so I started cycling at that time with my sister-in-law, with my nephew, with Tina and Ray from the church. Just a small group of us began just riding our bikes for health. A lot of us had our own reasons why we wanted to be healthier, why we needed to be healthier, and we started riding our bikes and created the Soul Riders. Just average riders, because it was very intimidating to see a lot of the cyclists that were around, and they would have, their dry fit jerseys and their cycling jerseys, and we're very modest people. A lot of us didn't have the money, to even buy a good bike, much less any cycling clothes, and many of us were so unfit. We wouldn't wear those clothes. It'd probably be impossible to find those things, So we began our own group of average people just enjoying our bikes. Some of us had mountain bikes, some of us had hybrids, some of us had beach cruisers. It didn't matter. If it had pedals and two wheels, then we would invite you to come join us. And we started our group, and so that's what we started. And we started cycling as much as we possibly could on every Saturday, on the weekends, or after church, or it didn't matter, We would find these trails. I would find these trails, bike trails. I found Dublin, which is an Iron Horse Trail. That was 25 miles each way. The Manteca Trail, which is I think 10 miles each way. I believe it's each way. I'm not sure. Merced has a bike trail. Modesto has a couple bike trails. So Tracy has a 10-mile bike trail. When I make bike trail, I mean a paved bike trail, not dirt or not anything like that. So we just began going from there, and it began to grow. And then one day I went on a trail in Monterey with my son David. We took our bikes and we found that bike trail. We did a bike trail in Oakland. So we find these different places that have paved bike trails, and we go as a group, this part right here, I'm going, 4 miles now, 12 miles an hour. Beautiful, beautiful area of Stockton. These are huge homes and estates. As you can see, you could probably tell. As I go further, the houses get bigger. Really nice area to ride. Look how wide this bike lane is. So I feel a lot safer riding on this street. There's hardly any traffic. As you can see, I'm almost halfway through my trail and through my route. I'm at 4.1 miles. This is a 10-mile ride. It's a really fun area here. That area to the left, that whole fence you see there, that's for 2 houses on that large estate. You probably can't see them, but anyways, Soul Riders was born. Since then, Sharon has, she had some issues called Chiari malformation, which is basically she had brain fluid that was being trapped. You're supposed to have this passage from your spine to your brain where spinal fluid goes back and forth freely, and hers had a blockage by the base of her neck because something that she was born with, and it was causing a lot of pain and headaches because the pressure of the spinal fluid will go up into her brain, but it was hard for it to come back down. So it was cause a lot of pain. Look at that house, huge houses. It was very uncomfortable for her. It was causing pressure to the backs of her eyes. So she went and was trying to find out what to do about that, and she ended up having surgery, brain surgery in the back of her head, and where they opened that passage up. Now that took a long time of recovery. It was so hard to see her like that and going through that. We weren't yet married at the time. She was living in Stockton with her 2 sons. I spent as much time as possible just helping her through that. She was basically immobile, unable to even get up from bed, and if she did, it was massive pain. It was a really hard and sad time, but she got through it. She got through it, and once that happened and she started recovering, the fluid was able to go back and forth, but unfortunately the pressure, the amount her body was producing was still too much. There was 2 issues here. One issue was the fact of the fluid not being able to go back and forth. The second problem was her body was creating too much brain fluid, spinal fluid. So then that led to the next step. Is her surgeon said, something needs to happen here. Something needs to budge. You're overweight. So we think that if you get some kind of gastric surgery immediately before you go blind, because of the pressure behind your eyes, we believe that if you lose 100 pounds, your body will automatically stop producing as much spinal fluid, and your levels will go down, the pressure will go down, and that should be the answer. Back to the trail here. Look, I'm at 4.7. You're going to see I'm slowing down because there's a little elevation right here. It doesn't look like it on the screen, but oh man, because I didn't hit it at a good speed. Look at that, it's literally knocking me down almost to nothing. I knocked my gears down all the way down. My feet are spinning, but my bike is hardly moving. Yeah, this is a really nice area right here. It's like a road by the river. Okay, there, so I'm up top now, so you can see me start gaining speed again. If you look up on the map, you see that little square where I'm heading to? That's where I always test my speed. I always hit that little square as fast as I could, and I try to beat my record every single time. So I'm kind of, after going up that little levee, I'm trying to regain my composure here. That's why I'm going so slow. I'm trying to regain my breath so I can try to beat my record. As I'm getting closer and closer to it. You see up on the map, I'm getting closer to it. It's just a fun little thing I do because it's a little tiny neighborhood and the streets are really wide and smooth. There's never traffic. So I'm just kind of preparing myself. You'll notice in a few seconds, I hit 5 miles, so that's my midpoint now. As soon as I hit this corner, if you notice, I'm gonna start picking up speed so I can get through this. Here's my last chance. I'm about to prepare to start picking up speed. As soon as I hit this sign, I'm picking up speed because I know I'm going to hit this little square neighborhood. There goes 13 miles an hour, 14, 15, picking up. Let's see, actually I'm not sure if I beat my record or not. I got to check. So here it goes, 17. I know a lot of guys with road bikes that are a lot thinner. This is probably slow for them. But I'm proud of myself. You know, this 19, I'm hitting 19, I'm averaging 18, 19, even 20. Here I am. I'm just going through as hard as I possibly can, as fast as I possibly can. Maybe I'll look back at this someday and say, wow, David, you came a long way, you know. But for now, I'm happy. You know, this is a good speed for me. So anyways, I went with her to a seminar to find out a little bit more about gastric surgeries. And she asked me, because at the time I was heavy, I was very stubborn. I said, I can lose it on my own. I can lose it on my own. I don't need surgery. I can lose this weight on my own. I was trying and trying, but, you know, it just wasn't working. And I think I was just lying to myself. I was afraid of surgery. I didn't want to be in a surgery table. I just had that surgery, you know, in my stomach a year prior, and it laid me out for a year. Look, I'm starting to get tired. If you notice here, I'm at 16, but I'm trying. I said, no, I can't give up. So I'm trying to pick up speed again here. So anyways, I didn't, but I remembered one thing they said. They said that diabetics, the type 2 diabetes, it's one of the things that pretty much goes away once you have surgery. I didn't have diabetes, but it's just something I learned at the seminar. I didn't know about that. I learned about insulin, how insulin works, and its insulin resistance. So I learned of a lot of information at the seminar. So a few months later, and look at that, I'm hitting 19 miles an hour. I'm going toward the end. I'm hitting the end. If you look up at the map, I'm almost completed the little square. Here's that last turn. You know, it doesn't know justice watching it on video, but my legs are burning. You know, I'm currently 388 pounds. 288 pounds. And that's a lot of weight. Here, how I hit 20 miles an hour. That's probably my peak speed. There it goes. I'm almost at the end, and my throat is dry by this point. I'm trying to control my breathing so my heart doesn't just go out of control. Look, I'm slowing down. I couldn't keep up that 20 mile an hour pace. Boom, that's the end. I still had some momentum, so I just went ahead and kept going. But yeah. So, anyways, back to my story. A few months later, I got my eyes got blurry. I was thirsty like crazy. Long story short, I ended up with diabetes too. And I remember seeing the doctor, and my blood sugar was insane. It was in the 500, 400 range. They say that if it hits 600, you could literally go into a coma. So it scared me, and I was taking medication, and it was horrible. My doctor basically said I would have to take that medication for the rest of my life. 3 different diabetes medicines, and to counter one of them, one of the effects of one of them, they gave me something for high blood pressure, even though I didn't have high blood pressure. So basically he said I'm going to have to take these 4 medications for the rest of my life, and I'm only in my 40s. You know, oh look here on the trail, remember that I had a hard time going up? Well, now it's great because now I'm going down. There I go, hit 24 miles an hour. I was just speeding through. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. So back to what I was saying is I didn't want to take this medication. I started looking on YouTube and just seeing, is it really, is that it? You know, once you're diabetic, that's it? And I noticed a lot of people that lost weight said that their diabetes went away. Oh, I love this sign right here. Trust in Jesus. So I remembered what was said at the seminar. It all came back to me, and that's what happened. Is I went to my doctor, and said I want to have the gastric sleeve, the least invasive surgery. And long story short now, I ended up having the gastric sleeve surgery. I went from 378 pounds down to 270. 378 pounds. It went down to 100 pounds down. And then 2 or 3 months later, Sharon had this sleeve surgery done also because of the brain issue. So we were both now on our journey, and we've both lost a lot of weight. We're not at our goal weight. You know, we have the gastric sleeve, which is the least invasive, but you're only going to lose the next amount of weight. The rest is on you, is the way the doctor put it to me. He said, you want one of the other surgeries, you're going to lose weight regardless, whether you sit on the couch all day or not. But we're going to have to do more things and rearrange your intestines and different things like that. He goes, if you get the sleeve surgery, he goes, I'm going to be straight up. The sleeve surgery is not for a lazy person. The sleeve surgery is a tool. They're all tools, but the sleeve surgery, it's going to take some effort on your part too. And because I knew I liked cycling, I said, I'm good. I'll get the sleeve surgery. Sharon said the same. Let's opt out for the sleeve. And I did, for a while there was going to get a different, one of the more extensive ones, but I ended up with the sleeve surgery. During that time, I'd already been riding my bike that I bought on Craigslist for 4 years. It started to fall apart. My derailleur broke, spokes began breaking. I'd replace them, and then other spokes would break. So finally we made the decision. By this time we were now married, and we went ahead and made an investment on some bikes. They're basically road bikes. They're called straight bar road bikes. They're carbon fiber. They're really light. They're fast. And I say it like this, okay, and I say it to anybody watching this, is that when you buy a bike, it's not the same as buying a television or something that depreciates the moment you buy it. A bike is not an expenditure. A bike is actually something that's it's a benefit. It's a benefit to your health. It's an investment into you. If you knew that by having more health is going to give you more years of life or more quality of life, how can you put a price tag on that? So at that point I knew cycling was something I wanted to do. I knew the bike was not going to gather dust in my garage. I knew I was going to use it, and I was going to use it to better myself. So it's an investment, and we went and bought bikes, and that's what we do. That's what we do. She sometimes doesn't feel so great. There's other issues she's having. I ride a lot more than her, but when she's able to, she does ride. She loves it, and I miss riding with her. We used to ride every ride together. Sometimes I go by myself, or I go with Abraham, my stepson. But nevertheless, cycling is a huge part of both of our lives, whether she is able to ride right now or not. So here, look, I'm at 7.4 miles now. I'm heading back in the direction where I came from. So this is a busy street also, so I'm trying to get through it. 7.5 miles, you can see up on the map. I'm almost going to meet up where I was originally. So this is the reason I do this route, this 10-mile route, because it lets me know where I'm at. If I constantly do different rides, different streets, it's hard for me to gauge my strength, my speed, my endurance. It's hard. But when I do the same route, I can see, especially with Strava, it lets me see where I'm at You know, and I know some days I'm slower than others. Some days it's windy. Some days I'm just tired. You know, but for the most part, when you do you always want to have one ride that you consistently do. Doesn't mean you have to do it every single day because it'll get boring. But that's the one ride you do to gauge yourself. So always find a ride. And what I do is I have a 5-mile ride I do to gauge myself. Because when it's 5 miles, I can go a little faster because I know I'm not going to go so far. And then I have this 10-mile. Then I have a 15-mile or a 12-mile that I kind of take slower. And then this is like, for instance, I'll do the 12-mile. And I notice I always stop at 3 places to drink water. So as I train on it, I said, what if I could eliminate one of those times I stop? What if I could eliminate it to 2 stops? What if I could eliminate this ride to just 1 stop? Or what if I could do this thing straight through without having to stop at all, other than coasting? So different ways to gauge yourself when you start riding, you know. So now, anyways, now as a soul rider, we have our group. We're 30 people strong. We do 1 ride a month as a group, and we ride individually. Like, for instance, me doing this ride here, every person in my group is gonna see that I did 10 miles. They're gonna see my time, my speed. It's like Strava's a Facebook for cyclists, and we keep each other accountable, and we see what each other's doing. And if you have a bike, I invite you to join Strava and be a soul rider. We have a soul rider sticker that every person that does 30 miles, it does not have to be at once. Once you do your first 30 miles, even if you do 5 at a time, you earn your soul rider sticker for your bike. So first, becoming a soul rider is just basically getting a bike and getting Strava, and letting me know so I can invite you, because it's an invite-only group. And once you become a soul rider, you start tracking your rides. And once you hit 30, you earn your sticker. But every month, like I said, we do rides throughout the summer and the fall and spring. During winter, we don't do rides. I still train if there's a day it's not raining, you know. But look, here I am again. I'm back on that street where I said the old-fashioned burger place. I think it's coming up here. So I'm just kind of backtracking, retracing my ride. It's a busy street, so I just want to get through it. Oh, I think there's the burger place right there. Yeah. So, being a group, it's really fun. It's really fun to get new people involved. And just this last Sunday, we had a young lady. Her mom took her to buy a bike. She's going to do her first ride with us on Sunday. This young man, Lorenzo, in our church, he just got a bike, and he just did his first ride with us a couple weeks ago. So the group is growing. If you want to find out more, we're at www.houseofrestchurch.com, houseofrestchurch.com, and on there you'll see soul riders, and it'll give you pictures. It talks about us. If this is you, if you feel like you're a lone rider, or you don't want to just ride alone, this is a good way to find a group, even though you don't live nearby, because we're all very social on there. We encourage each other. We want to encourage you. The whole idea is to get people out on their bikes and live a healthier lifestyle. You know, right here, look, I'm at 8.5 miles. I'm almost to the end of my ride. This is actually the part where that dog is at. I was just still looking out, hoping the guy had caught him by this point already. But yeah, you know, that's our story, guys. And you know, I love to ride. I still have more weight to lose. You know, I reached a low of 270, which is still heavy, I know. But honestly, I was 378 pounds with diabetes too, and I couldn't do 1 mile. And look at this. have you noticed? I haven't stopped. I have not stopped once in 8 miles compared to, remember what I said, I would do 1 mile and I'd have to rest for 15 minutes. So I'm not where I want to be, but I'm really proud of where I'm at. Look, I went to the left side of the street because I didn't know where that dog was at. I wasn't sure if the owner had caught him yet. So I just wanted to give myself a chance to, I think that's the house right there in the corner, looking for the dog. I didn't see him, but the guy was out washing his car. So I felt a little better, so I kind of relaxed. But I've come a long way. You know, I do want to lose more, and that's why I stayed on here. You know, so anyways, I reached a low of 270. Now I'm 288. I've gained 18 pounds. So I'm not sure. Well, the winter, first of all, a lot of people gain weight in the winter. Bariatrics do too, you know, people that had sleeve surgeries, you know, because it was a very rainy winter. I was unable to really get on my bike. I did go to the gym as much as I could, but now I have this 18 pounds to get rid of. Not only that, but I want to lose more than that, you know, so I have a goal. My first goal is to get down to 250. I'm 288 now. So my first goal is 250. Sorry about that. My phone rang, so it stopped my voice recorder. But yeah. Oh, there I go. I hit 9 miles now. So I just want to, you know, have a healthier life. I want to feel better. I want to encourage people to ride their bikes also. And I think it's a good thing. You know, it's a good thing. It's a low impact sport. It's safe. The most low impact sport that I know of is swimming, and number 2, really close, is cycling. A lot of people can't walk or can't run because of your knees. This is the perfect thing. It is low impact. See, every time you run, you're putting all that weight on one knee every time, and then the left knee and the right knee. That's a lot going on your knees and your joints. But cycling, there's no poundage like that. You're just going in circles, you know, with the crank set. So it's a really good alternative, you know. Here's that little overpass. You can see I slowed down to 8 miles an hour. I'm only 0.8 miles away from home. I'm close. So, yeah, I'm gonna kind of speed down this thing, but I gotta watch out because I turn right. There it goes. Yeah, it's really great, guys. You know, it doesn't even matter what kind of bike you have to start off with. I started with the $99 Walmart bike, went from that to a giant Sedona hybrid bike, rode that for 4 years, and now I have a giant Comax, and it's very light. It's carbon fiber, which is the lightest material they make bikes with. It's a beautiful bike, but like I said, for me, it's an investment. I'd rather have that than a bigger TV, because a TV is going to make me fat. You know, this bike is going to help me stay alive, to see my children, to see my grandchildren grow. I do have 2 granddaughters. They're young, you know, and I want to see them. I want to be around, you know. So here I'm getting very close to home. Slow down because there's a red light, and instead of putting my foot down, I just rather slow down, wait for the light to turn green. I am clipped into my pedals, so it's an inconvenience to having to unclip and unclip. I mean, it's easy, but still, I'd rather, there it goes, it turned green, and make sure nobody's there, and I go ahead and go right through the green light. It's a major street that's crossing, so I got to be careful. And notice it's clear, and there I go. Now the street I'm on, it's fairly busy, so I want to get right past it, and on the second block I turn right. So yeah, I'm kind of picking up speed even though I'm tired, but believe me, I'm feeling it. Usually I rest on this ride, and I didn't rest once. For the sake of this video, I wanted to have a seamless video with no rest breaks. But yet I'm feeling it. I'm waiting for the next block so I can turn right. There it is, coming up. And guys, I really appreciate you listening. I'm hoping I'm saying something that will encourage you, because you never know who listens to these. There's so many cycling videos, but there's hardly any for people that are overweight, or people that are bariatric or about to be bariatric, or you've just had bariatric surgery. I notice there's just sometimes it's intimidating, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching cyclist videos, but I'm very limited to compared to what they can do and what they do. And I thought maybe I'll just do this little video, talk a little bit, show you the ride I did. I'm coming very close now to the end of my ride, and 9.9 miles. Wow. And again, that's all in perspective. An avid cyclist, 10 miles is nothing to them. I know some, they'll do 30, 20, 29 miles, 30 miles, 40, 50 miles at a time, which is an incredible amount of miles. I respect them so much because I know what it's like. But 10 miles is good. My average rides, I like to do 10 miles, but my longest ride I've ever done is 50 miles. That's the Iron Horse Trail. And if you are going to ride, guys, remember you want to hydrate. And when you sweat, you're not only sweating out water, you're sweating out all of your essential things you need. Your magnesium, your potassium, your electrolytes, your salt. So if you go on a ride that you're going to be sweating, make sure you have water with electrolytes or something, because you will begin to cramp up, and that is the worst thing. It hurts when your legs begin to cramp up. Here I'm picking up speed. I know I'm close to home, so I said, my last burst of energy here, last 2 blocks. You never went up to 20 because by this time I'm tired, but it's a nice pace there. 16 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. And I just want to thank you guys. If being a soul rider interests you, let us know. Just write something on the comments or something. Let us know. I didn't even realize my wife was in the car there. She had just gotten home and I didn't even see her. So I just want to thank you. Thank you so much. And make sure you go to our website, www.houseofrestchurch.com.